Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a video and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Today, I'm delighted to welcome a very successful entrepreneur from Cupertino, California, USA, and interestingly, my more famous namesake, Ashutosh Garg. Ashutosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. We're super excited to be here today.
Thank you. Ashutosh is the CEO and founder of Eightfold.ai, which is the talent intelligence platform. He is the co-founder of Bloomreach, and he has worked with Google, IBM, and Microsoft. So Ashutosh, tell me, what would you say are three key milestones in your life or your career?
I will share the three key milestones in my career.
Mm-hmm.
The very first one was getting into IIT.
Mm-hmm.
Happened in 93 while I was in a small town, Haldwani. And what it told me is that no matter where you are, if you put your mind to it, you can solve that problem.
Absolutely.
Second big milestone happened pretty much by chance.
Mm-hmm.
I started my PhD at UIUC Urbana-Champaign, not knowing what machine learning is, but sort of kind of stumbled onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, never imagined how it will become the technology of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And third big milestone was starting Eightfold.
Okay.
And the reason is before starting Eightfold, I was a technologist.
Mm-hmm.
Never ran a business by myself.
Mm-hmm.
First foray into getting out of technology to the business world, right? Being a leader. And that required both a different kind of a confidence and different challenges that I encountered. But more importantly, typically a venture is started or said that the primary purpose of a company is to maximize the shareholder value. But really, we started the company with the mission of enabling the right career for everyone in the world. And being able to do that was a big milestone for me.
Fantastic. So let's talk about Eightfold.ai. Tell me about what you do in this organization.
So, as I mentioned, we started the company with the vision that can we go and enable the right career for everyone in the world. What we realized is that employment is the single most fundamental thing in our society.
Correct.
And if we can enable the employment for people, if people are excited about what they are doing, then we will change the society. Second interesting realization was that for every successful organization, the key to their success has been their people.
Correct.
And if you have the right people, goodness comes. But unfortunately, because of the tools and technologies that are available to us and the challenges we have in understanding people, everyone is struggling with employment. Either as an individual, finding the right job is hard, and for a company, finding the right talent.
Okay.
So we started the company, and our first incarnation has been building a talent intelligence platform today, which is being used by Fortune 500 companies across the globe to hire, retain, grow a diverse workforce.
Terrific. And when I was reading about you, your website talks about three pillars your platform believes in. Tell me about these pillars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a few things I will highlight over there. Very first thing is resumes are a poor representation of an individual's potential.
Okay.
And I will give you a very interesting example over here, sir. Is what you see is the first resume ever written by Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, wow.
And where he describes himself as a defense contractor. Only for us mere mortals to realize 500 years later what a genius he was as an artist, painter, inventor, and so on, right? Second big principle is around humans have good intentions, but because of our lack of knowledge, sometimes our decisions are biased. And the third thing is that data-driven intelligence can fundamentally change how we think and execute and tackle these biases. So these are the three main things
Very
that we focus
fascinating.
on.
And how do you use artificial intelligence to manage talent?
There are two key parts. If you think of talent management or talent in general, the problem is it's a two-way thing where you are really talking about an individual and a role and bringing the two together, right? Who is the right fit for which job? Now, the first thing it requires is understanding what are the capabilities of each and every individual. So by looking at someone's past, what all work they have done, what skills they have acquired, what knowledge they have acquired, how they delivered on their work, right? Can you understand what are the things they can quickly learn, adapt, and grow into? What are the roles they can deliver on? And what AI is able to do is help us learn from the data of billions of people across the globe, irrespective of the function they are in, to understand each person's potential and capabilities on one side. Now, the second part of this problem is actually, which is even more interesting, which quite a few times we don't think about it, is understanding of each and every role out there, not just people. And by understanding every role, and what does it mean? Like the roles are ever changing. Whatever skills I'm putting out that I need these 5 skills in my job description, most likely in 6 months, those requirements will change.
Okay.
So what we are able to do is by looking at people who are successful in the role, build a persona of each role. And again, that requires AI to understand what are the elements that we should focus on, how should we make it bias-free, how should we focus on their skills and knowledge and not their name, race, gender, age, and so on, right? And then the third part is matching the two.
Okay.
That who is the right fit for this job based on the persona of the job and the capabilities of an individual.
Incredible. So, Ashutosh, I've been run very large companies. I've been an entrepreneur. I'm trying to figure out that if I have to hire a CFO, and if I come to Eightfold.ai, how do you determine what a potential candidate has done over the years in terms of persona? I mean, what you also will get is a bio.
Great question, right? When you look at, let's take a CFO for a company like Eightfold, right? We are trying to hire one, right? When we hired one, right? What am I looking for? One is I can say that, okay, someone knows financial planning, modeling, bookkeeping, accounting, and so on, right? That's fine. But what I'm really looking for is a CFO for a high growth SaaS company, which is likely to grow from, let's say at that time it was 100 people company to 1,000 people company over next 3 years, right?
Wow.
Who can understand the venture funding, who can understand how to position it to the growth investors, or who can understand how to manage, receive account receivables from global organizations, all that stuff, right? So now what system will do is see that, okay, who are the other companies like Eightfold? What kind of people are successful CFOs over there? Not only who joined and left in 6 months, but who have grown with the company. What is their background? Where did they come from? And it might say that, the people who have been in a pre-IPO companies or who have been in companies that went public, but maybe they were number 2 over there, will have all the experience, but will be open to joining the company at this stage, right? Who are in a similar space because their skills are going to be a lot more transferable.
Okay.
So by looking at other companies where people have been successful in that role, which have gone through our phase, system will learn that stuff automatically.
Fascinating. So to a layman like me and to the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation, is Eightfold.ai a souped up version of global search firms and LinkedIn? Because global search firms bring the persona and LinkedIn gives you bios.
No. Because the problem is fundamentally different. What people are looking for is careers, not jobs anymore.
Right.
And you tell me, like, if you join a company where you are doing the same work that you have done for the last 5 years, right? You are unlikely to be excited.
Correct.
People want to grow in their career. And third is realizing that job descriptions are largely useless. I mean, if you go and talk to any individual today, and you say that you can't do this job, right? Their first question is that, What do you mean? Either I can do it, or tell me why I can do it, or what I need to do to get there. So the problem that the way we have approached it is not about matching based on keywords, what's there on your resume, on your profile, to a job description.
Mm-hmm.
It's really thinking about that people, or realizing that people are looking for careers.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to look for multiple careers in their lifetime.
Okay.
And in that word, how can I build a model about each and every individual to understand their potential?
Mm-hmm.
Not just what they have done, but what they can do next.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is understanding roles and understanding the gaps people have in delivering against that.
Okay.
Now, I'll give one very simple example, right? If you take my resume, I was at Google at some point, and you might have said that, oh, Ashutosh, you are a big company person. You are settled over there. You did PhD at some level, right? You didn't want to take any risk. You went studied till late, right? And then you just went and joined a research lab, and now at Google doing research, right? Mm-hmm. You're not an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Or at the end of Bloomreach, you could have said that you're a technologist, right? You are not a business person. Mm-hmm. That's one way to approach it, right? But on the other way, if you look at it, that many of us have done multiple careers. Mm-hmm. What we have shown consistently is that whatever career we have chosen, we have performed well over there. Mm-hmm. We have shown our risk-taking abilities by, for example, moving to US with nothing in the pocket. Mm-hmm. All those things, right? Shows that these people can be entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So having that understanding about an individual is extremely important.
Correct.
And of the role as well, that people from different backgrounds have succeeded in this. You really don't need an MBA degree. Mm-hmm. But what you need is the perseverance, grit, focus to make it happen.
And in Eightfold, you will be able to pick up a lot of these.
Many of these, yes.
Very interesting.
I would just say that we are still scratching the surface, a long road ahead. But yes, we have made a good progress.
I'm sure. But now let's talk about, you said that your platform is being used by 500 Fortune 500 companies. Tell me, what are the challenges in managing global talent across cultures?
Great question, right? On one hand, there are a lot of similarities. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there are a lot of differences. Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge that happens is that as a human being, right, we have a certain lens and we like to evaluate everyone from the same lens. Mm-hmm. And that is what creates the bias. Does this person speaks like me? Does this person looks like me? Are they of the same age group? Do they have a similar experience? Mm-hmm. And let's say in my case, I'm hiring someone in India, I might know about that. But if I'm hiring someone in China, I may not know anything about that, right? Correct. Mm-hmm. Or the lens that I'm wearing over there is that, oh, you must be fluent in English to succeed. Mm-hmm. Or if you have a heavy accent, then are you going to be a good customer-facing person or not? Mm-hmm. Those can be our biases over there. And technology and tools can help us mitigate those biases. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the big factors that play a role over here.
Fantastic. So, the other question is that when you are being used by such large companies, can these small and medium enterprises also use your platform? Or is that true?
Absolutely. And we do have a number of customers which are very small, who use it. Because the fundamental problem is the same. See, at some level, right, Ashutosh, you have worked at or been part of really large organizations. And there are times when you started your own venture, right, you were part of a very small company.
Correct.
So at some level, talent problem is the same whether you're in a large or a small company, right?
Right.
It's still about understanding people and understanding roles. Now, where it becomes challenging is that big companies have a lot of data of their own, whereas small companies don't. In that case, because we are a global platform, we are able to bring learnings from outside that can help these small enterprises.
Fantastic. And, as you must be talking to so many large companies and you've been observing so many human resource practices, what, in your opinion, are some of the changes that have happened in human resources over the last few decades?
I was telling someone recently, when I left Google, This was 2008. Google was a very famous company. It still is, right? Known for their people, culture. People used to ask me, like, how was the HR department over there? Tell us more about it, right? And my standard answer was, I never met HR. So must have been good. Mm-hmm. Right? Outside your interview and exit, right? You never talked to. When I was doing Bloomreach, I would meet with or talk to my HR leader once a quarter or so. Mm-hmm. Now at Eightfold, I talk to my HR leader once a day, at least. Mm. And that just shows how important this function has become. Mm. Even though we are a talent company, what is my number one challenge? Making sure I have the right people.
Correct.
And there has been a recent study which says that almost 90% of the non-tangible assets for a publicly traded S&P 500 company is no longer, or 90% of the assets are non-tangible. The world has moved, right? HR has become the most important business partner for the CEO, thought partner, the most critical function in the company.
Very fascinating. Because, what you just responded to is my next question to you. I'm 64 and I started working in 1979 with India Tobacco, ITC. And, in those days, the HR function used to be personnel manager, industrial relations, in factories, and personnel manager in the office. Gradually, it has evolved into human resources. And today, as you said very rightly, the CHRO is become like the right-hand person of the CEO. Why is this happening? And what are the changes that CEOs are seeing that they're suddenly depending so much on the CHROs?
Let me start by speaking for myself.
Correct.
My CEO philosophy is that the only way I can solve things is through putting the right people in the right job. If I have the right people, things will happen. Any CEO who thinks that they can solve all the problem in the company, in my opinion, they're fooling themselves.
Okay.
And today what happens is, right, what makes a company like Eightfold or even a company like Google thrive? It's the innovation that is happening by the people in the company. It's no longer dependent on who has more machines, who has the biggest factory, who has the biggest piece of land. What matters is which company can out-execute, innovate faster. Think outside the box, deliver on the value, right? Which is all about people.
Okay.
And realizing that people matters more than anything else in the company, and focusing on that, right, leads to great outcomes. And that is why HR leader has become the most important function in the company.
Incredible. What a great answer. So Ashutosh, I'm now going to move to the last segment of our conversation, which is a few questions for you personally. IIT, Google, IBM, Microsoft, founded Eightfold.ai. What are some of the core values you believe in?
I was recently thinking about that. And in some conversation it came up like, what is the purpose of the life? And my answer was that I don't know what is the purpose of the life, but I do know is that I need to live a life with a purpose.
Okay.
And the purpose has to be bigger than who I am. It has to be on the basis of integrity, honesty. Like in our company, we have 5 cultural values. These are extreme ownership, compassion, integrity, transparency, and excellence. And those are the main driving principles for me. And make sure we take ownership of what we are doing.
Correct.
When we come to the society, we are accountable for our actions. We need to be compassionate about people we are working with, problems we are solving for. Do it with integrity and be transparent.
Fascinating.
There are times you'll make mistakes, but if you're transparent, it will be fine. And finally, excellence, right? No one is perfect, but what we can ensure is that today is better than yesterday and tomorrow will be better than today.
Fabulous. Fabulous. So my next question to you is that from where you stand today and there's a long life ahead with lots of successes ahead. But where you are standing today, what does success mean to Ashutosh?
I think the mission that we are marching towards is right career for everyone in the world.
Okay.
If we can enable better employment for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it pains me when someone says that, can you help my niece and nephew get a job?
Mm-hmm.
When people get the job based on their relationships and network, not based on who they know.
Correct.
And if we can change that, we can enable everyone to have the job, right job. That is what I will call success.
Amazing. And a follow-up question to that, Ashutosh, is who or what inspires you?
I believe in never giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are capable of doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, I rarely look at any individual for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think I am perfect, for that matter, anyone else is, right? But what inspires me is the grit and passion that many people demonstrate in what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you take the innovation, ingenuity of Steve Jobs,
mm-hmm.
right, to the innovation coming from Elon Musk, right, to when you go to India, to the streets, right, the innovation you see, the grit you see in people, right? That is what inspires me. I think as a human being, at least speaking for myself, we are so lucky being in one of the innovation centers of the world, California, right? Good education, good health, right? We owe it ourselves to do something good for our society. And that is what inspires me to go and march ahead.
Interesting. I have time for two more questions for you. My next question is that, for someone who's as driven as you are, and you said you've got young children, how do you set personal and professional goals?
It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the simple thing is realizing that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Okay.
And as much you owe it to everyone, you owe it to your kids as well, right? So what I try to do is minimize the areas where I will end up wasting the time, set the right priorities, focus on those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every day I make sure that I'm getting up with my kids and I'm having dinner with my kids every day, right? Brutally prioritizing what is important, what is not. That has helped me.
Wonderful. And my last question to you, and again, this is for the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation. What would your advice be to a young entrepreneur who is starting out on her or his journey as an entrepreneur?
Or actually, I would say single most important thing, never give up hope.
Okay.
And never stop trying.
Okay.
And you will succeed. We lose because we gave up, not because of anything else. When I was starting Eightfold, as soon as I got my funding, it kind of dawned on me that I have barely a few $1 million in my pocket, which you may say is a large amount, but nevertheless, right? No team, no product, no customers, no technology, right? And I believe that I will change the world and I will build a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And I see hundreds of companies out there when they have a lot more money than I had on that day, lot more things going on in their favor, and they give up. They're like, yeah, legacy, baggage, we can't do this. As soon as you start saying that I can't do it, you start justifying it to yourself, you will never get there. But if you're hopeful, you keep trying, you will get there.
Fantastic. Ashutosh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you. I loved your comment about multiple careers. And I particularly like your comment for all the entrepreneurs that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And don't give up. Thank you again. And I wish Eightfold lots of success.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashutosh.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.